Unit 6, Part 4. We're going to work more on logs, logarithms, there are a few rules for logs that you have to learn, and you have to be very careful to not get confused. So if I have a logarithm of something plus a logarithm of something else, provided your bases are the same. Let's put in bases just to make sure. Then you can make it a single logarithm with a base, but be careful, you don't add the numbers, you multiply them. So similarly, if you have a log base something minus a log, it has to be the same bases, then it can become a single log where you divide them. Another important one, if I have a number to the power of something, so the log of a number to the power of something, you can bring the exponent to the front. So these are three very important ones. Just please remember, don't confuse these. There are no rules for log of A plus B and log of A minus B. I'm sorry, that's a B. Right? There are rules for log plus log, which becomes a single log that you multiply. Log minus log, which becomes a single log that you divide. But there are no rules for these. There's also no rule for log A over two logs that you divide. There's no rule for log A multiply log B. So make sure these rules only work in this way. Right, I'm going to do a number of examples where we apply these rules. So here we have log base 10 of 400 minus 2 log base 10 of 5 minus 4 log base 10 of 2. Now, because of all the minuses, we're going to use the top two rules. However, notice that with these rules here, the top two, there are no numbers in front of the logs. So before we can use them, we must first use rule 3 backwards, so that each log is just a log base 10. So this would be log base 10 of 5 squared minus log base 10 of 2 to the 4. Right, now we can use rule 1 and 2, well 2 at this stage, but be careful. I have a minus and another minus. Now, introduce a bracket. What happens if I introduce a bracket? This sign must change because of the negative in front. Always remember that when I multiply it back in, it must give me what I had. So can you see why I keep saying rule 1 and 2? Because actually, we are first going to use rule 1 for this bracket part. Log plus log means a single log where you multiply them, and I'm just going to work out those values instead of keeping them in exponents. So that was rule 1. Now we're going to use rule 2, where it becomes a single log where I divide. And 25 times 16 is also 400. So this is log base 10 of 400 over 400. And you can do this on your calculator, but this rule works the same as for exponents. Yes, log, because look at this. If I go to exponential form, then I would say 1 equals 10 to the 0. So therefore log base anything of 1 equals 0. Right. So we said there's no rule for log over log. So we don't have a short rule, but we can still do it. Right, now notice I didn't put in bases. You don't have to put in bases. If you don't put in a base, it just means base 10. And you should on your calculator also have one of those buttons where there's a log with no base. What we're going to do is we do the top and the bottom as two separate sums. And in both of them we use rule 3. So here I bring the 2 to the front. Here I bring the 5 to the front. And only now that these are exactly the same, only now can I cancel them. I couldn't cancel them before because they were not exactly the same. But there I have an answer. Right, I want to fit in one with an E, well, with a ln really. Remember, lns are logs, so lns have exactly the same rules as logs. So if I have to solve for x, I first want one term on the left hand side. On the left hand side of my equal to. So I use rule 2, which says I can write it like that. Now I remember that this is the same as log base E of that number. And I do my little one jumps across. So if I take the log away, if I take the ln away, this is left, but there was a little E there that we didn't show. It jumps across and it kicks the 2 up. This you can do on your calculator. And you would round it. Now you can carry on. I'm going to carry on here because I'm running out of space. You can now say, let's write this one more time just before I do that. 7.389. Remember, we don't like to have something underneath. If we take it across the equal to, it must do the opposite, which is multiply. So x plus 2 equals 7.389x. But these are like terms. Even though this one has a funny number, they are still like terms. So I'm going to take this x across, meaning I'm going to subtract 1x from 7.389x. So I will have 6.389 x's. And then I would put both sides over 6.389. And my x final answer, I can write final answer to 2 decimals, 0.31. Please practice these logs. There are lots of examples online and also on your notes that you have to read through. Practice them because they are different, so we tend to get totally confused. And when we get to doing the financial maths part, which is very important, you get lost if you don't understand these rules.